everybody, welcome to tonight's meeting of the full council. Just excuse me while I get all this paperwork in place. Okay, the first item on the agenda tonight is the evacuation procedure. We're not expecting any tests to be done, so if the alarm sounds, we'll treat it for real. If people can evacuate the chamber by the doors that you came in, down the stairs and cross over the road by the launch stand. I believe there's also a fire exit door up in the gallery as well. Okay, thank you. And if you need any help in getting out, give us a shout, we'll make sure that can be done. Okay, item number 2 is to receive apologies for absence. I've had apologies from Councillor Ball. Councillor Collett, Councillor Wilson and Councillor Wright. Are there any other apologies? No? Okay, thank you. Item 3 is to confirm the minutes of the annual meeting on the 15th of May. Everybody happy that they're a true record? Okay, thank you. Item number 4 is declarations of interest. If anybody has anything different to what's already printed in the agenda, or when they become aware of it during the meeting, please let us know. Councillor Guthrie.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm no longer represent on the following outside bodies: Warwickshire Health and Wellbeing Board, Age UK, Warwickshire Branch, Committee of Management, Parcel and Elite Recreation Ground, West Midlands Combined Authority Wellbeing Board. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll see that that's amended, yeah. Okay. Item number 5 is announcements. Does the leader of the council make any announcements? Councillor Watkins. You'll get used to not knowing people's names.
So 13 years or something. Thank you. I've received a thank you card from Denise Carter, so I thought it would be good to read it out. To whom it may concern, may I offer my thanks to each and every one for making Riversley Park play area and naming of the road after producer Lily Carter. It gives me pleasure to see parents and grandparents, etc., playing in the Lewes area. The park was his happy place too, and now he will be known thanks to you and his bravery just 18 years. Thanks to you all now for naming the road in his honour. It was truly an emotional day for myself, family and friends. Yours sincerely, Denise Carter. So I just thought that was nice.
It was, thank you. The second announcement isn't quite so nice. Members should be aware that the valued member of staff, Bruce Collins, who was a porter here in the authority. I know we've got lots of new members, so perhaps wouldn't have known him. But he recently passed away, so could I ask you to, if you're able to stand for a minute's silence in memory of Bruce. Okay, thank you. Okay, I have two other announcements to make tonight. I'd like to place on thanks ours and this council's appreciation of the service that was given by Marcus Jones, Craig Tracy and Mark Borsey. Sometimes we forget that rugby element that comes via Wilkinson. You know, people enter public life, and it's still my belief that people do it for the right reasons, and whatever differences we may have on policy, I think, you know, we should recognise that service. And so also then to lead on is congratulations to our new MPs, Rachel Taylor, Jodie Gosling, and I hope I've got it right, John Slinger. Thank you. And just finally, I think members all know, although we're sort of 2 months into the civic year, on Friday morning we'll be launching our civic appeal. So everybody's welcome to come to the chamber for that at 10 o'clock when all will be revealed. Okay, thank you very much. Item number 6 is, we have 3 questions or statements. The first one is Mr. Brian Walmsley. The clock will start when you do.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Trust in politics and politicians is at an all-time low, which has not helped by things like Nuneaton and Bedworth Borough Council accounts not having been externally audited for financial year 21-22, as well as every subsequent financial year since. Can the responsible minister please tell us, the residents, what the current position is regarding the 2021-22 accounts? Thank you.
Councillor Watkins, you? Oh, is it Councillor Hay? Will you respond?
Okay, I'm pleased to have been promoted to responsible minister, but just the cabinet member actually. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you, Mr. Walmsley. Several people have asked me, since I got elected, several people have asked me about this, and of course, every scrutiny panel I've been to or attended, we've been lambasted.
Can you turn your microphone on?
Lambasted from the public gallery about this. So, you know, it's difficult. It just looks dodgy, doesn't it? And I'm just wondering what the previous administration, and I just pause for a moment, it's lovely, isn't it, saying previous administration, isn't it lovely saying previous government too, but, you know, that's just on our side. It looks dodgy, what was going on. And so I have looked into it, and I really want to find out, you know, what was being covered up. Now, it's always more complicated than that. There's a countrywide shortage of qualified external auditors, and this has undoubtedly caused everybody, every authority, major problems. So I can't, unfortunately, blame the members opposite for that. Or can I? Now, the situation wasn't helped by the previous government's abolition of the Audit Commission, and that finally closed in 2015. A replacement body was set up to oversee the transition, and this was supposed to save £1 billion to opted-in authorities for their external audit costs. Well, that didn't work out very well, because since 2015, delays in external audits have just got worse. Locally, also, we ran into problems. Former head of finance resigned, and we were told that was a single point of failure, and yet it wasn't dealt with, and the single point of failure failed. But this is the bit that really annoyed me. This was all supposed to save money, but what happens when things go into short supply? Prices go up. In 2021, the estimated cost of the external audit would be £43,000. And yet, we've been told that the 2023-24 audit will cost over £153,000. And I think that's yet another example of the previous government finding ways to starve us of, you know, public services and much needed cash. So, you know, is it a conspiracy or a cock-up? It's not a conspiracy, but it's definitely a series of cock-ups. And I've asked the officers to try to make sure that we progress the, you know, the external audits as fast as we can going forward, so don't get criticised for it. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. The second statement is from Keith Connolly.
Is this on? Can you hear me okay? Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Our fire and rescue service in the Neaton and Bedworth is the busiest in Warwickshire. They have saved many lives and saved many valuable properties, including the town hall itself in 2019. The fire and rescue service clearly needs to make changes to adapt to availability of on-call crews in some areas and the changing nature of incidents. However, reducing the number of appliances and crews in the busiest area of the county is reckless. Not only are the full-time crews in the Neaton the busiest in Warwickshire, with 1,408 call-outs per year, we also have the busiest on-call crews based at Bedworth, with another 240 calls per year. By contrast, we had an average of 18 call-outs per year in the two least busy fire stations, Shipston and Fenny Compton, and just 47 a year in Bidford. The County Council chose to take the final proposals to its scrutiny committee on the 26th of June, when we had 3 speakers from Bidford and Avon, 1 from Shottery and another one from Ulster. It was unreasonable to hold this meeting in the general election period. Sadly, the only Nuneaton-based county councillor there was from the controlling group and seemed to support the loss of resources in Nuneaton. By deciding to hold the only scrutiny meeting to finalise the proposals during the general election period, they've managed to avoid proper debate on the 50% cut to Nuneaton Fire Station. The original consultation happened when the Conservatives controlled this council. During that stage, the then leader wouldn't answer questions at full council meetings, and the cut we ended up in Nuneaton having possibly zero response from this council about losing one of our 2 fire engines and the loss of firefighters' jobs. I hope this council as a body will write to the leader of Warwickshire County Council, fight to protect our fire service in Nuneaton, and encourage as many residents as possible to attend Warwickshire County Council's Cabinet at 1:45 on the 16th of July in Warwick. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Watkins, any response to that statement?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Mr. Concord. I can assure you that we will be writing to Warwickshire County Council.
Hang on, just give us one moment. Peter, no, thank you very much. It's something I should have said at the start of the meeting. If people can turn their phones off and put them on silent. So thank you very much for the reminder. Councillor Watkins.
Yes, Mr. Control, we will be writing to Warwickshire County Council and we will be answering this in a bit more depth later. Thank you.
Okay, third question is from Mr. Colin Hughes.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Can Councillor Hay please let me know how he feels about the state of the Council's financial position now he has had a chance to look at some figures?
Thank you, Mr. Councillor Hay, anything else to add from earlier?
Oh yes. Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Mr. Hughes. So obviously since May I've been working with the officers to gain an understanding of the financial position inherited from the Conservatives and to prepare for the outturn reports for the final quarter. They're coming to Cabinet next week, and to start thinking about the planning process for setting next year's budget. The current budgets are balanced, they have to be. One of the first questions I asked is, are we going to do Birmingham here? And I'm assured we're not, which is good news. But I have been pretty shocked by what I feel is the inadequate level of reserves, both in the general fund and the HRA accounts. I'm going to be doing a lot more work on those to see what can be done. But it's not that that's actually worrying me. Since we started, we've been presented with an ever-growing list of budget pressures which appear to have just been kicked into the long grass by the previous administration. I'll just give an example, it's not everything. The museum seems to have been cast adrift. Books Hill and Attleborough cemeteries, flooding, it's not being dealt with. The AV system here has broken down and hasn't been dealt with. The Harefield Road car park needs maintenance. The CAB and Brandcap support in this building, it needs looking at. The Bridge to Living project, if you walk down there, it seems to have gone into limbo. And the one that really worries me personally is the colossal pressures we've now got on the homelessness budget because of the increasing number of homeless people who have been abandoned by the previous government. Now, I could name a lot more, but you've asked me how I feel. What I feel is disappointed. I'm disappointed with the people of the borough who've been let down by 14 years of neglect nationally and 3 years of neglect locally by a Conservative Party which does not value public services at all. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. That takes us on to item 7, which is questions by members, of which we have 11, I believe. So the first one is Councillor Hughes.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would like to ask the leader, could you tell me how you feel the council has been performing under the previous administration, and did you find any surprising issues that needed to be addressed? Thank you.
Councillor Watkins. Sorry, I just thought we'd get some light on the subject.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you, Councillor Hughes, for your question. I, like my colleague, Councillor Hay, I'm very disappointed and shocked to see that there was a total lack of leadership and guidance from the previous administration, because in the first month we had to make some very big decisions, and I've made a small list of some of the big decisions that we had to make, some of them being for health and safety reasons. We lifted the employment ban so that our staff can get staff that it needs to take some strain off them. We had some claims coming in from Warwickshire County Council. The Glendale extension needed an urgent the Glendale contract, needed an urgent extension because they was about to pull out. The Civil Court needed extending. There's been single member decisions, and as Councillor A has already said, we've had to make some very serious decisions on some of the car parks, and you can see some of them coming into effect very soon. So, very shocked, very disappointed in the total lack of leadership and guidance. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, so the second question is from Councillor Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This question's for the portfolio holder of planning and enforcement. On Friday of last week, we received news that the appeal to the council's refusal of up to 700 houses on Greenbelt land adjacent to the A5 had been dismissed by the planning inspector. To add to that, actually today we've heard that the second appeal has also been dismissed. This is great news for residents and is a testament to the hard standing against inappropriate development taken by the previous Conservative administration. Labour's failed borough plan will be replaced this year by the revised Conservative plan that reduces housing targets and has a strict no green belt policy and is currently in public examination hearings. At the same time, the new National Labour government has announced a loosening of planning policy that will actively encourage development on Greenbelt. This is a very real threat to the small amount of precious Greenbelt left in the borough due to Labour's devastating plan. Will the portfolio holder give the resident his guarantee that he will continue the work of the Conservative administration to protect the borough's Greenbelt from inappropriate development, and renew a once-broken Labour promise to protect land at the woodlands in Bedworth, as well as land to the east of Bulkington, both due to be deallocated in the revised Conservative borough plan? Thank you.
Councillor Rose.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to clarify that I have no knowledge of any documents referred as Labour's borough plan or Conservative plan. I think it's very crucial to note that there is a document known as a borough plan. And why making this distinction is because it's backed by a substantial amount of evidence gathered through a religious process rather than being politically motivated manifesto. The role of political oversight is to ensure that the thorough, diligent execution of such work. Mr. Mayor, I'd like to emphasize three important facts. Firstly, without the borough plan, including 2019, the Council would relinquish control over developments, necessitating approval of almost every application. So therefore I urge all members here, including Councillor Smith, to acknowledge that the hard work of the previous Labour administrations in establishing this plan. Secondly, the ongoing examination of the Borough Plan 2019 review involves inspectors assessing the quality of the evidence. It is premature to speculate on outcomes, but it is clear that any unsound political intervention could have significant financial repercussions to the Council, potentially amounting to hundreds of thousands of pounds through the appeals. Funds that belong to the people of Nuneaton and Bedworth and Walkington and not the political parties. So in addition to the lack of robust evidence presented to the inspector, this is probably the biggest threat to the Greenbelt if it's not presented in a proper way. And lastly, let me be very clear, the outcome of the appeals process relating to A5, including the latest appeals, has absolutely no relevance to the Borough Plan review or the Greenbelt. The appeal was solely rejected on A5, just purely based on traffic grounds. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. The third question was from Councillor Wilson, who unfortunately not here. What I would suggest is that we have a written reply sent to Councillor Wilson. Members happy with that? Thank you. Which takes on to Councillor Ford, question 4, Councillor Secretary.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. May I take this opportunity to congratulate you and the Deputy Mayor on your appointments.
Thank you.
So, following the local elections at the start of May, a resident of Bulkington messaged me and asked what would the Labour Council mean for the residents of Bulkington. I was not able to provide him with an answer to this question, but promised that this would be the first question I would ask the newly appointed leader of the council. I did ask a similar question to his predecessor, Councillor Jackson, before I was an elected member, and she was unable to name one specific thing that Labour had done for Bulkington over the previous 5-year period. Over the last 3 years, working alongside the Conservative-led council, we have seen the Christmas light switch on resurrected and returned to its former glory. We have had several new pieces of play equipment added to the recreation ground. We have seen funding for a Jubilee and Coronation event, which brought joy and happiness to many, as well as a big boost to the local economy. A project to improve the maintenance of flower beds in Leicester Street and HSG7 being removed from the borough plan alongside the woodlands in Bedworth. Sadly, in the same 3-year period, former Councillor Shires, who produced the Labour alternative budget, wanted to reduce the funding for Bulkington Village Centre by 10%. Can the leader of the council offer the residents of Bulkington assurances that this settlement will continue to be supportive and not forgotten, or even better, outline any specific schemes that he and his cabinet will implement to build on what has been achieved over the last few years?
That's what it is.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Councillor. I can offer the residents of Bulkington the assurance that they will be fully included in everything that we do in the largest redevelopment at Nuneaton that we have ever seen, I can offer assurances to the residents of Walkington that they will be fully included in the redevelopment of Bedworth and the millions that we will be spending on Bedworth activity. When I was a young boy in Stockport Ford, which includes Stockport East, Stockport West and Arbury, there was a carnival, and some people will remember that, but that sadly passed to the side. I will treat Walkington, which is part of Nuneaton, and I'm sure you know that being a Walkington councillor, I will treat Nuneaton as part of Nuneaton and Bedworth, and together we will be united to achieve. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Fifth question, Councillor Mann.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Since Labour took control of Nuneaton and Bedworth Borough Council in May, it seems that the contractor team is yet again being let off the hook with grounds maintenance across the towns and villages in Bedworth. Councillors have received and reported many complaints from all over the Bedworth area since May. When Conservatives were in charge of the Town Hall between 21 and 24, standards in grounds maintenance vastly improved under the stewardship of Councillor Guttridge, your predecessor. The main cause of concern to residents is the fact that the contractor is clearly not following the contract specifications with respect to strimming immediately after grass cutting. Whilst I understand that there is a separate team for strimming and it has been very wet, it is obviously clear that strimming is not taking place after the cut. As a consequence, numerous pieces of council land are now an absolute eyesore, and as such I would welcome answers to the following. How many rectification and or default notices have been issued against the ground maintenance contractors between May and the present day? And is it still the policy of the council not to pay the ground maintenance contractor for a piece of work until it has been completed to the standards specified within the contract?
Councillor Jenkins.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you, Councillor Markham. So I'll answer your questions in reverse order, if I may. With regards to the completion to the standard, yes, the strimming is supposed to be done within 24 hours of mowing, and payment to the contractor is as per the contract terms for completed areas. Now, as we're all aware, and as you rightly stated in your question, it has been an extremely wet year this year. So we had unprecedented rain over the winter period, which continued into April, continued into May. We had a 147% increase on rainfall in May. So there were extenuating circumstances. A lot of the ground was very wet, couldn't get onto it, and this has had a knock-on effect. Another factor is that under the previous administration, the contractor was requested to supply and do all the bedding plants, and there were issues with that, with the supply of that. So all the bedding plants arrived within 2 days. So people had to be pulled off, strimming, mowing, to facilitate planting of the bedding plants. Otherwise, they can only be stored for a very short time and they would have died. So under the extenuating circumstances, in answer to your first question, no, there haven't been any rectification or default notices issued at this stage, but we will monitor that going forward. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Right, next question is Councillor Commons. Yeah, Councillor Michael?
Can I have a supplementary, please?
I've not taken any supplementaries tonight. Thank you. Councillor Commons.
Thank you. Our local plan, borough plan, whatever you want to call it, is based on new planning applications for major developments having 15% modal shift. That is 15% more trips using active travel, walking, cycling, public transport. In reality, we are getting developments with a negative modal shift, i.e. they're difficult to walk from, cycle from, and have poor connections with public transport. One example is on Eastborough Way by the Crow's Nest, where currently there is no controlled crossing point, no safe cycle route, and no bus stops. Clearly, a lot of active travel infrastructure should be provided by the County Council and developers. Some of this is never delivered, and some of it is delivered late, so that people do not get used to using it as soon as they move to a development. Will the Cabinet Member for Planning and Enforcement ask officers to be more robust in setting planning conditions requiring active travel, and take the necessary enforcement action if this does not happen? Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Rhodes.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Councillor Condacor. Very, very valid point. We're taking that on board, and just to say that we're already ahead. So we have Active Travel England has recently become a statutory consultee, but we will be definitely paying attention and way forward. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Question 7, Councillor Guthrie.
At the overview and scrutiny panel on the 13th of June 2024, I was astonished to hear in response to my question to the new portfolio holder that after 5 weeks he had not met with the parks manager or the ground care contractors. Does the leader of the council believe this is acceptable from his new portfolio holder, given the importance that residents place on the grounds maintenance contract and our green spaces and our parks, which I believe is grossly underperformed on his watch? And can I just have clarification about supplementary questions from the leader of Parliament?
It's a question. It's my decision that I'm not allowing supplementaries. There's other routes if you're not happy with that. Councillor Watkins.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Councillor Guthrie, for your question. Yes, I do find it acceptable that the portfolio holder for grounds maintenance has not met with the contractor Glendale, because we have had so many other problems to deal with, and an election, which, as you know, we won. It might also have looked very odd if the portfolio holder had had a meeting with the contractor, and then we had to extend the contract for a further 2 years, which has cost us a fortune. And I'm sure you knew about that as well. But I would also like to correct your question, because you're saying here that he said that he didn't meet with the parks management. And I was at the same meeting, and he did say that he had met with the director and the parks manager. He just hadn't met with the contractor. Thank you.
Question 8, Councillor Walsh.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. In the last Conservative budget, it was announced that Bedworth was to receive up to £20 million in regeneration funding over the next 5 years. Following the general election and the new Labour government, I and many Bedworth residents are concerned that the new government will roll back on this vital support for our town. Will the leader of the council agree to write up to the new Member of Parliament for Bedworth to remind her of the importance of this investment in Bedworth, and call upon her to make sure that this support is delivered? Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Watkins.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Councillor Walsh. We have already wrote to all 3 MPs, and we will continue to keep in touch with all 3 MPs. Thank you, Councillor Walsh.
Councillor Clark.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and may I offer my congratulations to yourself and the Deputy Mayor on your appointment to the Hollow Office. Question 9, submitted a question to the Leader of the Council, please. I read with concern a BBC News article that quoted the new Leader of the Council saying that he was going to reopen plans for regeneration in Nuneaton. This would seriously put at risk the funding which has already been secured by the outgoing Conservative administrations, both locally and nationally. It is my view that this will undermine business confidence if this is allowed to continue or is considered to be appropriate for the regeneration of our town. Will the leader of the council just get on with the job, transforming Nuneaton, instead of trying to promise the earth and delivering nothing?
Councillor Watkins, you to reply?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you, Mr. Councillor Clark. No, I will not just get on with the job until I'm 100% happy with everything that has been planned for the site. Following the savage cuts made to Nuneaton's fire service by the Tory administration, of which what you have won by Warwickshire County Council, we are now an engine down in Nuneaton, and you are, and like I say, you're one of the Tory councillors that made one of those decisions. We, the Labour administration, take health and safety very seriously, and they have raised some concerns with the designs that are being looked into at the moment. But until I am happy that every health and safety issue has been resolved, I will not just get on with the job. We, as a Labour administration, take the safety of all of our residents and visitors before us very seriously. So, whereas you might find it funny with you just smiling about that, we don't, and we won't get on with the job until everything is safe and well.
Thank you.
Point of personal explanation, Mr. Mayor.
I'm not sure there's such a thing. Well, he's finished speaking now, so I can take that straight away.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The fact that I'm smiling means I'm a happy chap, not that I'm happy about what's going on in relation to the delivery of the services within this Borough Council. And I do take exception to the council's comments in relation to my demeanour. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Thank you for that explanation. And I will just point out that so far in this meeting, members have conducted themselves well. And it's my intention as the chairman of this council to make sure that we continue that. I don't want to dwell on it. Things are in the past. But there was a lot of concerns with residents in this borough about the conduct within this chamber. And that's all I'll say on it. I'm not going to accept anything like that anymore. So, you know, there was nothing too serious amongst that. But let's just bear things in mind and have respect for each other. We might not always agree on policy, but we can respect what people say. Anyway, question 10, Councillor Betts.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Following the announcement of the proposed cuts to Nuneaton's fire service by Warwickshire County Council, could a warning letter be sent to Warwickshire County Council citing the recent incident on Buckington Lane in Nuneaton, where they required the 2 appliances from Nuneaton, plus 1 from Addiston, and also 1 from Leamington in attendance at a fire? Add to this concerns in other locations where, following the reduction in fire stations and appliances after heat-related fires, there was woefully inadequate cover with a requirement to bring in fire appliances from neighbouring districts, increasing risk to life. Warwickshire County Council need to seriously reconsider putting Nuneaton's residents at risk.
You again, Councillor Watkins?
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Councillor Lenson, for your question. Yeah, I think that's an excellent idea to write to Warwickshire County Council and ask them to look at the cuts that they're proposing, and so we'll draft a letter right to the leader of Warwickshire County Council, and also, as you've stated, state some of the incidents that have happened in the borough recently, and hopefully we can get a view of what they intend to do. Thank you.
Question 11, Councillor Croft.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. I think I congratulated you, Mr. Deputy Mayor, at the annual council, but I will welcome the Cabinet to their place. We will endeavour in a respectful way to provide robust check and challenge over the next 2 years, and I'm sure they will enjoy question time as little as I did. So my question, Mr. Mayor, is that in October 2020, the then Labour Cabinet authorised the signing of the contract for the hotel operator for Grayson Place. It was not their name, Grayson Place. And in the spring of this year, the Conservative administration set up a trading company to manage the operation of that contract as part of the rescue package that we implemented to ensure the viability of the regeneration programme. Can the Cabinet member confirm if new directors for the company have now been appointed following the change of administration, and what steps have been taken to bring the company into operation in preparation for the hotel opening?
Okay, the question is to Councillor King. Or no? Who's answering it? Councillor Watkins?
Sorry, Mr. Mayor, Megan. Thank you, Councillor Croft. I've never really been happy with councillors being both councillors and directors of company. So we are looking at it at the Grayson Place thing at the board of directors, and we're looking at a few things going forward. However, I can confirm that the operating company for Grayson Place has been established in anticipation of the opening date.
Okay, that concludes all. I'm not taking any supplementary. So that concludes the questions, which takes us on to item number 8, which is the special urgency decision. Shall we take them out to any board? Can I think this item is just for noting? Yeah? From the chair, can I move that? Is that seconded? Seconded.
Mr. Mayor, I'll second.
Okay, I'll just move straight to the vote. All those in favour of that to note the report? And against? None. And abstentions? None. Thank you. Item number 9 is the Cabinet report by the leader or Cabinet members. Leader?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. May I present the report as is written, and myself and the Cabinet are happy to take any questions and any member. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll need a second.
That's seconded, yeah. Councillor Gilshan. Any questions on that report? If not, just beat it to it. Councillor Croft.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. I've got a very exciting one. Can I ask Councillor Hayes to give us an update on the productivity plan, and are we going to submit one to the government with the change of government on the 19th?
Simple answer is yes. It's got to be in by the 19th, I think, and it's going to be in by the 19th. Okay?
Okay, thank you. I'll go on now, Councillor Croft.
Thank you. Could you give an update to Council on the content of that plan? Because I haven't seen his draft circulated, and his ideas for improving the productivity of our workforce and transformation of the Council.
I'm still waiting for a draft myself, and I will be looking at it along with the leader and the chief executive. We've got to get this done. I can't give you a detailed answer to that because there's a lot to be done in terms of just simple things like getting our IT systems sorted out, which are woefully inadequate at the moment and have been left to rot. And there's things like that that need doing. I'm not going to give you a detailed answer now because there's too much. I could be here all night. So, you know, sorry.
Okay, thank you. It's been moved and seconded that we note that. Yeah. It's been moved and seconded that we note the Cabinet report and the ensuing question. All those in favour of that? And against? And abstentions? Okay, thank you. Item number 10 is the validation checklist of planning applications. Council recommendations?
Yeah, very briefly, so I will not delve too much on this subject. The validation checklist has been consulted with members and external bodies, so essentially it's designed to help ensure that applications are valid and received, so I would propose to move it as it is. Thank you.
And is that seconded? Okay, yeah, thank you, Councillor. Any member wish to speak? Councillor Conley.
Thank you. It's good to see that a lot of the comments have led to changes. However, it's disappointing that we don't have policies on foul water drainage, given that we've had a lot of sewage discharging into the River Anker, particularly in Weddington. It seems a missed opportunity to take steps to reduce this. I know we can't sort of force the developers to actually do certain things, but if they had to actually show how the foul water was going to be dealt with in a bit more detail, then hopefully we could avoid a lot of problems we've currently got with all the large developments going into an already overloaded system.
Thank you. It's been moved. Oh, sorry. Yeah, Councillor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm really supportive of this item, given that my last action as the previous portfolio holder was actually to sign this off to come to Cabinet and then full Council tonight. This listing of validation criteria is a requirement of the MPPF and is a comprehensive list, really comprehensive, and is based on both national and local policy requirements. The validation list will serve to clearly lay out exactly what information the planning team need to properly assess and validate planning applications, which in turn should serve to speed up the process by guiding applicants to submit better quality planning applications. This item was actually part of a constant service improvement of the planning department that's taken place under the Conservative administration over the last 3 years, and I'm sure it's work the new portfolio holder will wish to continue. While I'm up, I'd like to take this opportunity to thank the planning policy team for their hard work, producing what is another excellent policy document, and more importantly for their support and hard work during my time as portfolio holder. The planning team are without doubt a first-class dedicated team that's been at the forefront of the Conservative programme of service transformation. That's much improved the work this authority delivers on behalf of residents after many years of neglect, I'm sorry to say. But I shall be voting in favour of this item.
Okay, thank you. You do have a right to reply, Councillor Rose, but we don't have to do.
I'll just say, myself as a resident, and obviously I'm looking at what has been done by the previous administration's previous councillors. I'm coming with the fresh eyes. I don't think all the things are going so smooth, and that's why I personally stood up to take this role. But I do appreciate, all the previous work done by all the previous administrations, including many years of Labour administration, including establishing of the borough plan in the first instance, 2019, which is being reviewed now, as a very valuable contribution and being basically part of what we've got here. So, thank you.
Okay, thank you. It's been moved and seconded, the recommendations as printed. All those in favour of that? And against? And abstentions? One abstention. Takes us on to item 11. It's recommendations from Cabinet Order Committees A, B and C. Take them separately, yeah? Item A is the finance procedure rules. Councillor Bonner, I think.
Thank you, Mr Mayor, and congratulations to you and the Deputy Mayor on your appointment as Mayor and Deputy Mayor. Yes, as Chair of Audit and Standards Committee, we met on Tuesday the 2nd of July, and I would like to, in relation to the finance procedure rules, move recommendations as stated on the agenda. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
And seconded.
I'll second that.
Councillor Price, thank you. Any member wish to speak? No? In which case, yeah, okay, the recommendations is printed and noted and recommended to Council for approval. All those in favour of that? And against? I think that was unanimous. Thank you. And item B, Treasury Management Year-End Review. Councillor Bonner again?
Yes, thank you, Mr Mayor, and thank you to all colleagues across the Chamber for unanimously approving that recommendation. The second recommendation is the Treasury Management 2023 to 2024 year-end review, and again I'd like to move the recommendations, Mr Mayor. Thank you.
Is that seconded? Councillor Price, thank you. Any member wish to speak? Councillor Condon?
Thank you. I just wonder whether in future we could actually have some linking about on these sort of reports. I know it's a year-end report, but it does actually go into the future quite a bit there, with estimated borrowings for the next couple of years and things. But there's absolutely nothing to say what the borrowing is actually going to be for. There's not a clear view of the housing plan or regeneration plans. So we're sort of agreeing potentially it's borrowing without knowing what it's for. So it'd be nice that there was actually a bit more information in the future.
Okay, thank you. It's been moved and seconded, the recommendations, and it's noted and recommended to Council for approval. All those in favour of that? And against? And abstentions? Thank you. That's approved. Which takes us on to item C. Review of Treasury Management Practice. Councillor Bonner again.
Yes, thank you, Mr Mayor. Once again, as Chair of Audit and Standards, I would like to move the recommendations as listed on the agenda. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
And seconded, Councillor Price, thank you. Any member wish to speak on the item? If not, I would move straight to the vote. All those in favour of the recommendations, please show. That's unanimous, please. Okay, thank you. And which takes us on to item number 12, which is